Well, no one knew what a .com or Facebook was in the 1980s, but now a Silicon Valley superstar is going back in time and singing about it right here on Broadway.
Randi Zuckerberg is the founder and editor of .complicated, and of course, sister of Facebook creator Mark Zuckerberg.
That guy.
Yeah, that guy. She's here to tell us about it. So you've got this new role in the Broadway musical that just keeps going and going and going, Rock of Ages. Welcome. At page 6, you're like a superstar now.
You're kind of a big deal. I just don't know if you realize it yet. But you were on page 6 this morning when I was going through the paper. I was like, oh my God, Randi, she's going to be on the show.
Thanks. Well, it's so fun. I just had my opening weekend. I have a little bit of vocal exhaustion because I just did 5 back-to-back shows.
No, wow. You know what you have? You have
Broadway boot camp.
You have that sexy Broadway voice.
That's right.
You know,
I should always record my voicemail message right now.
Oh, totally.
After doing 5 shows.
Absolutely. Okay, so now tell us about your role in Rock of Ages.
Well, gosh, it's so fun. I get to play kind of this Berkeley hippie chick, and so I get to really call on everything in San Francisco, where I live right now. It looks like the role is named Regina. It is pronounced Regina.
Oh,
so it's a little bit of, you know,
there you
of
go.
course.
We know.
So you get a little comic relief in there. And it's all the best songs of the 80s, like all the greatest rock songs. I get to sing We're Not Gonna Take It, Hit Me With Your Best Shot, We Built This City, like all the most like awesomely bad songs of the 80s.
I mean, I have to ask you, I mean, these are familiar songs.
They are.
Doesn't it take a toll on your throat to be, are you singing or are you screaming?
Definitely screaming. It was funny, the first time I got to rehearsal, I trained classically, actually, when I was younger.
See, I did not know that.
And you really have to kind of call on that classical training, even when you're doing the screaming, otherwise you're going to blow your voice out. But I mean, these are some of the most talented performers I've ever worked with. It's so fun. You get on stage and you sing your songs, and the whole audience sings along to everything. I've never seen a show like that. Like we close the act with Every Rose Has Its Thorn. And just the whole audience is singing every night. It's so cool.
But you have to pull from that energy too. You know, I mean, they probably give it to you, and you're just like, you draw from that.
It's so great. I mean, it's more like a party than a show. They're serving Jello shots in the aisle.
Really? I need to go to this show. This is my kind of show.
It's like you're going to a rock concert, not a Broadway musical. So it's so perfect for me. I actually sing with a cover band back in Silicon Valley, and we do kind of all 70s, 80s rock music.
I would just like to point out, because I think there are a lot of people who think, oh, Randi Zuckerberg, you know, just because of the name, oh, she gets a part. But as you mentioned, you're classically trained. I mean, you really are qualified for the part.
Thank you. Well, gosh, you know, it was still a huge surprise, but people don't know, it was always my life dream to sing on Broadway.
Aww.
If you had asked me when I was 7, 8 years old, I would have said, you know, Mom, I want to sing on Broadway. Finally, my parents were kind of like, why don't we choose a more realistic career path? Like, the likelihood of you actually winding up on Broadway is not that great.
Hey, Mom and Dad, check out
who's on Broadway now?
Today, exactly. And so to be there on opening night, my parents were in the first row. My mom was crying. And I just, backstage with the cast, I was like, you know what, guys? Sometimes you don't get to your dream the way you think you're going to get there. But, you know, sometimes your dreams come back and find you.
Was your mom doing Jello shots, or was she just crying?
You know, she saw the show 3 times. By the 3rd time, you know,
she was
Jello
having a
shots.
Light.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was funny. I was just thinking the other day, you know, I used to work at Facebook for a living and sing for fun. Now I'm singing for a living and going on Facebook for fun. So how ironic is that?
That is so great.
Well, what's the scariest part, though, of walking out there and it's a Broadway audience?
That first night was just terrifying. They made that announcement, you know, tonight making her Broadway debut is Randi Zuckerberg, and it's just kind of pure adrenaline. But there's really nothing like live theater, like feeding off of that audience. And it's really one of the last remaining places where people put down their cell phones and they actually live in the moment for 2 hours. So I think it's you know, you feel really grateful being on stage to have that undivided attention.
Yeah, but it is a grueling schedule. I mean, talk about the adjustments there, because what are you doing, 5 shows?
8 shows a week.
8 shows a week.
So almost every night. And
But what was
2
the
on the
rehearsal
weekends.
schedule to get you to this point?
So I only had 2 weeks of rehearsal to learn an entire principal role in a show. I was rehearsing just round the clock and then backstage every night shadowing the woman whose part I was taking over for a couple weeks. And it was, I would just get back to the apartment at the end of the night and not even know how to get into the door. I was so tired. But it's, you know, it's really a new level, kind of physical, emotional exhaustion. But I love putting myself that far outside my comfort zone. Just makes you see what you're made of.
Wow, this is such a cool story.
Did the crew tease you, or were they warm and embracing?
They've been so awesome. So 2 guys in particular, I share a lot of scenes with Paul Schofler and Cody Scott Lancaster on stage. They play kind of the European fat cats in To Change LA. And they're just so wonderful and embracing and giving me all these tips on vocal health and performance. The stage managers have been just so fantastic. Maddie, Justin, Christy, like really got me into the show in an amazing way.
Look at that. Well, you know, I do have to mention something. This morning I had 0 time. I forgot my wedding ring. I didn't shave my legs. You're running your own company.
Oh my gosh. Can we get a shot of her legs?
No, you've written books for adults and children. You're on Broadway. I mean, honestly, like what is the time management thing? Like how do you get it all done?
Well, first of all, I want to say if that's like you not like doing everything, that's amazing. I wish I looked like that. You know, I think just it's all about finding time for the things you love. I think so many of us, we multitask so much that at the end of the day, when you sit back, you realize you didn't actually accomplish anything because you're kind of halfway doing a lot of things. So I like to give myself permission to go deep on kind of one project that I really love. And I call it almost like my March adventure. Last March, I wrote my books. This March, I'm here on Broadway. And I think life is kind of about giving yourself permission to be, call it well lopsided at times.
Okay, well, you're a lopsided star now. And a real quick question, what's your favorite song in the show?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I gotta say Hit Me With Your Best Shot. It's
Every
just,
girl loves that song.
Fun. Like my go-to karaoke song.
Yes, that's so awesome.
So fun.
Well,
oh gosh.
Hit yourself with some tea and rest your voice.
Thank
You're
you.
off today, right?
Yes.
Monday's your day off. All right.
Thank you.
Randi Zuckerberg, thank you, and congratulations. You can catch Randi on Broadway in Rock of Ages at the Helen Hayes Theater now through April 14th. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.